Okay, so I think that we can start. Still, some people are joining, but maybe during the introduction, we will be able to welcome everyone. So good morning, everyone, and welcome to this very first Data Forum event organized by the project EU has for Data. My name is Daniel Alonso, and I am project manager with ITI, a research and technology center in the Valencia region in Spain. And I am also the coordinator of the project EU has for Data, who is organizing this Data Forum event. In the project, we are really excited because this is our, let's say, first important event after the project started last September. It's a pity that we cannot organize it physically, but still, I guess that we'll have a good time during this morning, and thanks all for joining. And we are also really happy because we have been able to bring together an amazing panelists with the relevant speakers, as you can see here in the agenda. When we were thinking of organizing this event, we were thinking of how we can approach the structure of the event. And even though in the project we already achieved several results, we thought that this stage of the project, it would be better for us to organize this event around challenges, okay, that we in the project are facing in terms of cross-border data-driven innovation and experimentation. And also, let's see what we can learn from other initiatives in each of those challenges. And this is why we have organized the agenda based on those 4 types of challenges, as you can see here: policy challenges, technical challenges, business challenges, and legal and ethical challenges, that we think that mostly collect, or at least includes most of the challenges that we are facing in the project. So we will have an introduction from Kimmo Rossi from DG Connect, and also the project officer of our project EU has for Data. And then we will go through the different panel with the different challenges. So first we will have policy challenges with our colleagues from the Commission, Federico Milani and Francesco Barbato. Then we will address the technical challenges with Simon from EU has for Data and TNO, Santiago Cáceres for Data Ports Coordinator, and Ana Maria Schleimer from Fraunhofer, and also involved in Gaia-X. After the coffee break at around 11, we will address the business challenges with Martin Liuga from Digital SME Alliance and Stratos Balutsus, the coordinator of one of the relevant members of the project i3 Market. And finally, the last panel will be about legal and ethical challenges with Enre and Julie from Q Leuven, and also EU has for Data, and Jirki Soukas from Citra, Fair Data Evangelist in Citra. Each of those panels will be followed by the Q&A session that will be moderated by some of our colleagues in the project EU has for Data. You can see here also the name of the moderators. And we will end the session with a round table with all the speakers and several general questions from all the speakers in a final Q&A section, okay? So before giving the floor to Kimmo, let me just share with you the usual information in those events. So all the participants will be muted, okay, during the session. Only the speakers and the moderators will be able to talk, to speak. But you have the chat section at your disposal. If you share your questions, your comments to the chat, they will be addressed during the different Q&A slots that I have presented in the agenda. Also, as usual, this session is being recorded, okay, and all the presentation and the recording of the session will be available in the web page of the event of our project, as you can see there in the slide. And but after we got the consent from all the speakers, okay. And finally, let me just encourage all of you to spread the word about this event. You can see here the Twitter profile of our project EU has for Data, but also the different hashtags that we are using to promote the event, the hashtag of the project, and also the 2 hashtags specifically of this event, okay? So again, I encourage all of you to spread the word and give visibility to this event also in your channels. And with no more preamble, I will give the floor to Kimmo Rossi. Again, Kimmo Rossi is the head of innovation in the data policy unit of the Digital Connect, but also the project officer also of our project EU has for Data. So Kimmo, welcome to this webinar. Thanks for attending, participating, and the floor is yours.
Thank you for the introduction, Daniel, and thank you also for organizing, for you and your team to organizing this event. And I welcome you all who joined. Thank you for being here. So we are talking about data strategy, the strategy that would encourage and help data sharing and ultimately would lead to a data economy where data can be exchanged, shared and traded like any other goods and services. So if there is something, one thing that we have learned from the past in this area of data sharing and creating data economy, it is that we cannot achieve much by addressing one single area like research and innovation alone. That will not lead to results when we are faced with such a big challenge. So we need to be able to mobilize and synchronize several operational areas. First, of course, science, research, innovation, technology is one important domain. So we will keep that. We will not, of course, throw it away, but strengthen in, and I say a few words about that later. But we also need infrastructure, and we need data collection infrastructure, data sharing infrastructure. And I'm glad that we have Francesco Barbato from the Commission here talking to us about the satellite data collection infrastructure. Then we also need to look at governance and networking. And that's one of the actors in this field is this project, EU Hubs for Data, which is organizing this webinar. Then we need policy and legislation to create favorable conditions, a favorable ecosystem for a data economy. And my colleague Federico Milani is here in the next session because he knows that area much better than I do. And finally, we also need to support deployment of systems. So the operations, populating systems with data and supporting their operations. So that is also a necessary element if we want to see progress towards data economy. So I will now just say a few words about the Horizon Europe program. If you can take the next slide. So we are very close to the adoption of this program and the first work programs. Next slide, I will show you where to find the current draft work program. Horizon Europe consists of 3 pillars. There is the excellent science pillar, and then there's the pillar 3, the innovation council pillar. So these are the horizontal pillars, and then there is the pillar of verticals, pillar 2, which contains all the sectoral work programs. So that's where our data technologies are located in the work program of Horizon Europe. So you will find them in one of the clusters of this pillar 2. So, and more precisely, it's under cluster 4, digital, industry, and space. So this is just to show you where our activities are located. And now if you can go to the next slide, which is also my last slide. Our approach in Horizon Europe, so addressing the technology and research and innovation side is similar to what it was in Horizon 2020, with the addition of some new nodes which come from these global challenges. And they are green transition, competitiveness and sovereignty of European technologies and European data, and then finally supporting the resilience of the society against different kinds of threats and supporting the European values, democracy. So these are the new features that you will find in the topics that we have in the work program. And finally, there is a link here to the current version of the work program, which actually it's 2 weeks old, but it is very up to date. So it's online. I just want to warn you against some very old versions, pirate versions of the work program that has been circulating on the web for many months. So look at the date of the version. This one is rather fresh, and you can see the topics. If you can, Daniel, just go to the document, what you will find there. So this is the work program. Just go through the table of contents. You see how many topics we have. If you can scroll a bit further down, still go pages, still one page down, still one. There, stop there, just slightly up. So now we are at our area, which is the world leading data and computing technologies. So here you will find the data, the topics that will support the European data spaces and the extreme scale analytics. And of course, at the end of this work program, there are the topics that support the space part, which Francesco Barbato is going to talk about in the next panel session. So with this appetizer, I just wanted to give you a preview of how many funding opportunities there will be in this work program that will be officially adopted and launched within the next 5 or 6 weeks. Thank you, and Daniel, we can move to the next session.
Okay, Kimmo, thanks a lot for your presentation, and also thanks for sharing this draft of the Horizon Europe Cluster 4 with us today. I guess it was a nice announcement, and I guess people are eager to go through this document during the coffee break. Okay, I see that my colleagues already changed the screen, so I just give the floor to the next panel, which is about the policy challenges that will be chaired by my colleague Ana Garcia, Secretary General of BDBA DAIRO, and also a member of partner of the project. So with no more preamble, Ana, I give the floor to you, so you can just start your session.
Thank you very much, Daniel. And welcome everyone to this panel or slot in the data forum. I'm very honored to be moderating this panel about policy challenges. So it has been already introduced by Kimmo, Rossi. And well, just to quickly say, I'm Secretary General of the Big Data Value Association. And of course, our community is one of the main promoters of EU Hubs for Data Federation. We have most of our ISPaces joining forces here to build this European Federation, and we are very glad of being here today and in this event. Passing now to the policy challenges, I personally believe that we are in a historical moment for Europe in relation to data policies. You already saw the exciting moment about innovation, research and innovation that Kim already presented. And now we have 2 experts from Commission, one coming from DG Connect, the other one from DG Defis, and they will bring additional information in relation to innovation and also new regulation. So by saying this, I just want to say we will have 15 minutes per speaker, and I invite all our audience to post your questions and answers in the questions and answers box, and we will take or dedicate the minutes at the end to go through some of the questions. And by saying this, I invite Federico Milani. He's Deputy Head of Unit in the Unit G1 in DG Connect, Data Policy and Innovation. So Federico, the floor is yours, and thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Anna. I hope you can...
We can see you and we can see your screen.
Okay. So let's start. I'm sorry I cannot remove this, the wonderful black progress spot that you see on the top of the screen. What I wanted to present here, it's briefly the, oops. Can you still see me? Hello?
We see you,
Yes,
but now we don't see the slides, Federico.
So
Or
let
at
me
least
try
I
again.
cannot see them. They are coming now. We see them, still not in presentation mode.
Do that.
Yeah, we see them again.
Okay, let's start again. So what I would like to talk is more or less briefly about the European strategy for data that has been launched last year and that we are progressing towards its implementation that will take several years, and it will continue basically throughout all the Commission, the current Commission. What we've announced in February last year is that our strategy, the European strategy, will basically will be developed in 4 main pillars. The first one is a legislative framework for governance of the data, for promoting the sharing, trading of data. And the other pillar would be investment. So that we are going to invest in what we call the high impact project for European data spaces and a federated cloud infrastructure, where we are not going to fund only the creation of data spaces in the case of data spaces, so the technology to share the data, but also on the infrastructure, so the cloud, the edge infrastructure, the processing capacity through the HPC, and the possibility also of using AI technology to test the AI technologies using the data available in Europe. We are also promoting the empowerment of individuals, and we are going to invest in digital skills and data literacy in various sectors, starting with SMEs, but also promoting through the Digital Europe program to develop new masters for data analysts and for data engineer. And we are going to support the rollout of European data spaces, crucial, especially in crucial economic sectors, like, for example, the health sectors, or agriculture sector, or the industrial and manufacturing sectors. And we are also there to look not only at technical arrangement, but also governance mechanism that will allow the sharing of data. The legal instruments that we are currently preparing, or that has been already adopted by the Commission, are more or less the biggest one, the most relevant are here presented. So in November, we already adopted a Data Governance Act in order to ensure trust in data transition. So there we are focusing on public sector data, private sector data, and personal data that is voluntarily made available by data holders. We also adopted a Digital Market Act, where we are looking more on the power of major companies on making access and supporting and making sure that there will be a fair competition in accessing specific market, online market. We have worked and we have adopted also the Digital Service Act, which is again trying to support the proper functioning of a single market for digital services and maintain a safe online environment and protect fundamental rights. We are working with the public administration in order to make sure that a number of high value data sets that they've got that they hold will be made accessible online for free and in machine readable format. And then we are working also, currently working on the Data Act that will to see how we can ensure fairness in the allocation of data value among the various actors of the data economy. And again, there we are looking specifically in private sector data, data in personal data, and congenerative IoT data. Just to summarize the Data Governance Act, the Data Governance Act is focusing again in 4 main pillars, or actually it's 3.5, let's put it in this way, where we are going to promote access, for example, for the reuse of sensitive data held by the public sector bodies. We know that the public sector holds a huge amount of data, which has got also third parties' rights attached. The clear example will be health information. The data for the moment is not shared, or it's difficult to access for obvious reasons, because being personal data, there is no the condition to make it accessible to everybody. What we would like to do is that the public sector bodies that held this data will make accessible this data, for example, for research purposes, under specific condition that will assure the respect of the rights and the confidentiality of those data. We also try to promote in business-to-business data sharing a new actor in the market, which is data intermediaries, but especially independent data and neutral data intermediaries. So those organizations that actually are already existing in the market, but we would like to promote them even more and support their development, is those intermediaries that allows the link between the data holders and the data users, and make sure that the interest of the data holders will be respected, and at the other side, make sure that the data user will perfectly know which are the conditions under which the data that they are going to access that can be used, and what can be done with that data. And there are a number of initiatives that we want to launch in order to make sure that these figures of neutral data intermediaries will be recognized by the entire market. We are also looking at how to promote corporate and individual data altruism for purpose of general interest. And there again, what we've noticed is that there are both corporate, so businesses, and individuals that come to us and says, well, we would like to share our data for the general interest. For example, I would like to share my mobility data, so my data on how I'm moving within my town, in order to assure that the transport system of my municipality will work better and will provide the better services. And this is why we are trying again to promote the figure of the companies that will work in collecting the data for this purpose, and will be recognized as again broadly as figures that can be trusted in order to do that. And finally, we are going to launch a European Data Innovation Board, which will support the Commission in identifying, in coordinate all the initiatives, and in identify interoperability and standard issues that needs to be tackled, and that needs to be solved at European level. Here is just a brief message, or a brief slide that on the other side shows what we are looking into the Data Act. And again, there in the Data Act, we are looking for as I mentioned there, in the previous slides, co-generated data, and what's happening when the data is generated by, for example, a device that is working and that is made work by a different organization for the organization that has produced the device. And here the example would be a company owning a factory robot that wants to send its data to an external data analytics company to improve the performance. Usually the data is held by the producer of the robots, and it's not clear who can have access to the data and who can use the data for which purpose. The same happens with some appliances, house appliances. Here there is the example of a smart dishwasher that would like to share its data with a repair service provider. But again, there, the most of the data is only accessed and held by the dishwasher manufacturer. So which are the rights that the owner of the dishwasher has on that data? And then we are also looking to the data that is held by the businesses, but might have a great usefulness and can be extremely useful for example, for the public. So, for example, in period of crisis, the data held by the telecom providers, which would be extremely useful for the Ministry of Health and for researchers in order to identify how the pandemic, for example, spread according to the movement of the population. And again, there are no mechanism in place other than the purchasing this data on commercial basis. And I would like to see if there is the need again to act in specific cases so that it will be quicker, faster, and easier to have access to that data held by the business sector. And finally, these are the legal parts. What we want to do as well is, as I was mentioning, is to support the creation of data spaces, and we are going to do it through the Digital Europe program. That again, as the Horizon Europe program will be adopted soon, hopefully in May, where we are going to support a number of the creation of a number of data spaces. And here you've got all the data spaces that most probably will be supported. We are going also to create a data space support center, which will be similar to a coordinating support action, where we want to create a network of stakeholders to coordinate efforts between the various sectorial data spaces and the various projects that are creating that are going to be selected in order to create the data spaces. But we are also funding a number of initiatives at infrastructure level. So we are going to support the creation of edge infrastructures. We are going to support the creation of a cloud and edge marketplace for providing services for the creation of data spaces. We continue to work on the high performance computing in order to provide high performance computing. We are also working on testing and experimentation facility and on developing further the AI on demand platform, where you will be able to have access to technologies, AI technologies for analyzing data and using data. So basically, this is just to summarize. What we are trying to do is to create a new way of sharing data, which will be built on trust, where personal and non-personal data are fully in scope on what we are doing. We want to promote the reuse of public sector information also through novel mechanisms that protects information privacy. So not only open data, but also that data that as was mentioning before are covered by the Data Governance Act. We want to ensure fairness in the allocation of data value among the various actors in the data economy, and we want to support the creation of sectoral community, European data spaces, including all the necessary infrastructure. And with this one, I finish. Back to you, Anna.
Thank you very much, Federico. A really very good summary, comprehensive presentation. I'm personally very happy that you also covered what is coming up with the Data Act. We will move into the next presenter, and then we will be back to questions and answers, as agreed at the beginning. So, Federico, I will call you back on stage in 15 minutes. And again, thank you very much. I would like to invite now Francesco Barbato. So Francesco Barbato is a policy officer, in this case in DG Defis, in the unit B2 looking after Copernicus. I'm personally very glad that we have Francesco with us today. First, because what he's going to present, as Kimmo said before, is very relevant for the discussion. Second, also because we have years of collaborating together with Francesco and our community. So for us, it's a pleasure to have him on board. Francesco, please, the floor is yours. Francesco?
You're muted, Francesco. You're muted, yeah.
Yes, apologies. Now I hope you can hear me.
Now we see you and we can hear you.
Very good. So I will speak without slides, so you will just see my camera. So I hope I can grab your attention just with me speaking. So first of all, thank you very much for the introduction, Anna, and thank you and to all the organizers for the invitation. It's always a pleasure to be here with this community. First of all, I would like to explain why I'm here. So maybe you already understood a little bit from Kimmo's introduction as well. So what I want to introduce here is an opportunity for the data community, a very specific one. And this is something that we do big in-house at the European Commission, that is the space program. And I would like to explain why this is relevant for you and for the data community that you represent. And in doing so, I will present some opportunities within the new work program of Horizon Europe that Kimmo has presented. So first, a little bit of context. So as Anna explained, I work in DG Defis, which is a newly created Directorate General under the Commission von der Leyen, whose remit is on the defense industry and space. As you understand from the title, we manage the European Space Program. I think it's important to say that within the Commission, we are under the responsibility of the Commissioner for Internal Market, Thierry Breton, that is also responsible for DG Connect and also for DG Grow. So it's a cluster of DGs that share a lot. And in particular, I think it's very interesting, this setup, because it allows us to create more synergies and opportunities in a structural way than in the past. And you will see what we're trying to do here with this short presentation that I'm going to deliver to you. Then I'm very happy again that I'm invited to such a conference whose scope really overlaps well, and it goes exactly in the same direction of one task that we're doing in the units that I work for, that is trying to maximize the reuse of space data. And it is always interesting for me to speak to this audience, which is an audience largely made of ICT stakeholders that often do not know the opportunities of the European space program, and in particular of the exploitation of European space data, mainly from the Copernicus Sentinel satellites. And what I would like to do now is explain a little bit what these opportunities are and why I think it can be important for this community to be aware. So, as Kimmo said, the work program of Horizon Europe, the first one, 2021-2022, is virtually public. So Kimmo showed you where it is. And if you listen to him carefully, you would have observed that the data technologies and the digital technologies in general are in the same cluster as space, including this exploitation of space data activities that I was referring to. So you will find us in the same cluster, cluster 4, in the destination space that is just a few pages down the data technologies that Kimmo was referring to. So I will refer in a moment to those opportunities that you find there. But I would like first of all to tell you that today I believe there is quite a favorable trade wind for the integration of for engaging with ICT stakeholders and exposing the opportunities of space data. So this is because Copernicus and its satellites, which I will introduce in a moment, are delivering the large of data. There are 7 operational satellites. When I mean operational, it doesn't mean for research purposes. No, these are operational systems that deliver petabytes of data every day. So every single day, all over the world. And in different, so the scope of this discussion is not to introduce the different characteristics of the data, but to tell you that these data are available in quantities, petabyte of newly generated data every day, with a free and open license, which means that you can do with this data whatever you want, for whatever purpose it is, being for research, technical work, or for exploiting business and commercial opportunities. These data are available through modern infrastructures that the Commission has set up that are called DIAS, which are data and information. There are 5 of them that are modern cloud-based infrastructures that deliver data and computing capacity. There are, in addition to the raw data that we collect with the satellites, 6 operational services that deliver information products, which are also data to be exploited. These are what we call higher level data. So there is information already extracted from the raw data, which can be exploited just like the raw data with the same data license, free and open. And this adds up to the quantities that I was describing before. So these 6 operational services are in 6 different domains: in the land, in the marine, in the atmosphere, in the climate change, in the security, and in the emergency area. But these are just examples of the possibilities where space Earth observation data can be used. So there are novel ones as well. There are economic intelligence, there are transport, there are, of course, the most traditional agriculture, but also natural resources, the environment, pollution, insurances. So this is to say that when we talk about integrating digital innovation hubs, data experimentation hubs, the integration of space data can come handy in very many occasions. And I want to present the opportunity to you of this availability of these very large quantities of data. Is everything solved? No, not at all, of course. And this, we wouldn't be here if this would be the case. So here we are trying to present an opportunity to be exploited by actors of the data economy like you are, an opportunity to use and reuse non-personal data that do not have any problems in being used and reused and shared and traded and being integrated in data value chain of whatever nature. What are the issues that make us still work on this? So from the claim that I made, that you would think that everything is solved and everything is perfectly integrated and available. So we are making steps in this direction, but there is still work to do. That we believe you can help us do, and this is why in the work program of Horizon Europe there is at least one topic that is very interesting for you, probably 2, and I will introduce them both. So as I said, in cluster 4, the space part, you will find one topic that is dedicated to the integration of Copernicus into the European data economy and to the European data spaces that Federico has explained moments ago. This topic is an innovation action that wants to make sure that these data, first and foremost, exploited to the fullest of their possibilities. But in order to do so, the technical barriers that are still there are solved, or at least there has been, of course, a lot of work in technical work in making sure that this data can be delivered to the data community, to the business communities. But there is still a lot to do into the application of the research into the infrastructures. And it is important that these innovation actions make use of the research that has been done largely through many projects that DG Connect and my colleagues in G1 has funded over the past years in Horizon Europe. And this is a chance to put to fruition those research results and drive them towards uptake and help make these data assets more available to the data communities for better integration into the European data spaces of whatever nature and domain and vertical domain. There is another particular topic that addresses the customization of big data and AI technologies for Copernicus. Again, here, a lot of work has been done. A lot of work is ongoing, but there is still a lot to do. And these are research and innovation actions that are supposed to help bring the state of the art forward in the customization of these two sets of technologies for space data, with the ultimate goal of maximizing their exploitation. And this is, again, the scope of what we want to do at DG Defis. In addition to operating the satellites and operating the programs, we have the utmost interest in making sure that these data are used to the fullest of the possibilities. So to maximize the return on investment that the Union has made in the satellites, but also to give opportunities to everyone to do business and to integrate this data within their own operation. Then another opportunity that I think it's important. As the name of the unit suggests, we deal with startups, and we've got a dedicated program to support startup and small and medium enterprises, which is called CASI. So this is a wide breadth program that comprises several actions. Most of them have to do with the reuse of space data. So building digital applications for using space data and reusing space infrastructure. So this goes beyond Copernicus and the data that I just described. There is also Galileo. There are also other parts of the European Space Program which are of interest, but largely this is about space data. So these are other opportunities that you will find upcoming if you follow a little bit the space area and the world programs of space. There will be prizes, there will be hackathons, there will be incubation programs similar to the one that are managed by my colleagues in G1, in the Connect G1, but they are targeted to space, to the reuse of space data, or at least having space data at the core of their own applications. So one thing that we want to do with this initiative in particular is try to bring space outside space and open up to ICT stakeholders so that they can bring their knowledge in order, again, to maximize their use of the Earth observation data that we make at the disposal. Then another industrial opportunity that I would like to highlight. So there is, just like for this area, there is a PPP that is upcoming, a European partnership on the competitive space systems, which I would just want to mention here. So this is going to start later on, not at the same time as the one for artificial intelligence and robotics that is managed by G1, by Connect G1. But stay tuned because there will be more opportunities in the future to collaborate. Two more items, and then I'm done. So a year ago, almost exactly a year ago, we hold a workshop on Copernicus and artificial intelligence and the reuse of the space data in Brussels. And we had there excellent presentations, especially by Professor Manolis Koubarakis from the University of Athens, that explained how the set of AI technologies that are available today can come useful for the purposes that I mentioned in my talk. So that is making this data more available, better integrate them with the European data spaces, desilo the Earth observation archives through technologies. So those are the kind of things that we are looking for from you guys, from this community, to bring the state of the art forward and to uptake whatever is already operationally available. And there's a lot that is operationally available that comes from projects funded in these areas throughout the years. European technologies, this is also very important to us. And with this, I would like to highlight where you can find all these and other relevant information. There is only one website that is the major entry point, www.copernicus.eu. So very simple, www.copernicus.eu. You will find all the information and much more on the space world and the Copernicus world that I just mentioned. Now, as I said, I think the moment is ripe for building bridges between the space, the data, the ICT, the AI communities. And I believe this work can bring benefits to both sides and make ultimately the European Union more competitive. So again, thank you for the invitation and thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Francesco. And well, you know that also in the House for Data project, we take seriously this reuse of data space. We are already promoting as part of the catalog that we have already Copernicus data sets. And we really want to build these bridges with the Copernicus community. And we started discussions, still we really need to operationalize this. And also to mention later on, Daniel will present the data week. And I hope we can continue discussions that we started, as you mentioned, about Copernicus data and AI and other things conversations that we started in the past. And it would be good to continue and to bring closer as you said, the space community and the data and ICT community. So thank you very much. And now we have 5 minutes to 10 minutes to have a dialogue. I will also invite Federico to share his screen. And Kimmo, if you are also very much welcome to share your screen. I think there were also at the beginning some questions for you that I might bring up to the discussion. There are not too many questions in the questions and answers, but I will bring those up to you. And then I also have some comments. And first, thanks to the three of you, to Kimmo, Federico, and also to you, Francesco, because you have shown in a very short period of time the amount of investment, not only in investment in research and innovation or deployment, but in general also in regulation, in focus in making data work. And I think there is a strong focus now in making data work and making sure that we generate value from data. So we really appreciate this very much. So there is a question, I think it's mainly for Federico. I'm not sure whether it really fits with the Digital Europe program, but it's about the skills part of the Digital Europe program that you presented, Federico. And it talks about, okay, in the skills, it seems that there is a lot of effort put in skilling up engineers or very specialized kind of profiles. But what about preparing the previous generations? What about the training of the younger individuals? Is the Commission doing something in introducing this data economy in early ages? Is anything that you can tell us about this, Federico, or any of the colleagues, if you are aware of any actions being taken in this direction?
Well, actually, my directorate is also responsible for what we call the initiative of Better Internet for Kids, which might have a link to what was the question about. So in there, which is also closely linked with safer internet to safer internet actions, what we are looking at is to make sure to create a better environment for online environment for children, but not only. Also to promote at national level actions that will raise the awareness and of children on the benefits, but also the possible a threat or risk that there is while going online, and therefore using internet and being aware therefore of what is when you go online and you make your personal data available to companies that that you are using their application. So there are a number of initiatives that, of course, are not part. Well, they're not really part of the Digital Europe program on what I was mentioning, what I wanted to mention, but there are initiatives for safer internet in the Digital Europe program, and we are actually working now in order to come up with a better strategy together with also EAC with a new strategy for education that will complement and will tackle also these issues. This is the answer that I can give. If you want a more detailed answer, I can provide the link with the person that are in charge.
I think it's sufficient, Federico. Thank you very much, and it really fits well. And we hope these programs really evolve to make our younger generations more data and AI, let's say, or data-driven AI aware in the future. But thank you very much. So I have there was a question before. Now I cannot see it, but I sent this question to both Kimmo, well, the three of you. And it's about, you have been talking about the work programs and the draft versions. There was a question before that now has disappeared. Do you have any idea, in one hand, in relation to Horizon Europe, when it will be officially launched, and also for Digital Europe program? So we have heard more about the digital innovation hubs, but it's a bit more clarity about when the European data spaces goals will be out. Is something that you can tell us about it?
Yes, okay. It's very difficult to predict the future and even the close future, because the work program that I showed is a draft, so it's not final. There are still changes being made, adjustments, I hope, not major changes, adjustments. Once it's stable, it can be adopted. It's not stable yet, not quite yet. The current plan is to adopt early May, and the calls would open after mid-May with a deadline in beginning of September. That's the current plan. It looks rather likely today. I don't know if it still looks likely tomorrow that this might actually happen. That's all I can say under this reservation that it's not, of course, adopted, and also because the program, the whole program is based on a regulation, which is a regulation by the European Parliament and Council. So the legislators are the member states, councils, ministers, and the European Parliament. They will still have to adopt the legal basis for this program. So now we were only talking about the work program that we have drafted together with stakeholders, but there is also the legal act that the lawmakers will have to adopt. I'm confident this will happen. Will happen according to schedule, but just to outline the complication, the rather complex structure, all the pieces that have to fall into places before the call is launched.
We understand. Thank you very much, Kimmo, for sharing. And
yeah, Anna, with with the same caveat that Kimmo has explained. So the two calls that I referenced to in my talk are for 2022. So not to open this year. Okay,
good to know. Thank you very much, Francesco. And Federico, anything to say from your side? Something that can be safely communicated?
Well, for the Digital Europe program, the process is very similar to the Horizon Europe work program. So more or less the timeline it's more or less the same. And again, there will be, it's a 2-year work program. So the various data spaces call will be launched, not all at the same time, but in several different calls along the 2 years. Again, it's yet premature to say when something will happen, but basically the work program, we hope to have it adopted again in May, and from then we will be able to have a clearer view on when all the various calls will be launched and closed.
Thank you very much, Federico. And to be honest, now I would love to have like 50 minutes to have a discussion about the data spaces and how we can make them actionable. And we were talking about making data work, and how do we do, data spaces work, because that's one of the big challenges. And I was really had a few questions for the three of you, but time is gone. And on the same level, we have panels coming up now that somehow explore other aspects of challenges of US for data that somehow are similar challenges to what European data spaces will have very soon. So from this viewpoint, I'm very sad that I have to close the panel, but I very much thank you, Federico, also Kimmo, who spoke before, and also Francesco. It has been a pleasure, and all the information provided really excellent. We will continue this discussion. And by saying this, I close the policy panel, and I give the floor to the, I think, technical challenges. So thank you very much again.